continuing on. What time did you have to be home at night? And we did talk about that.
Well, that's a two-phase thing. When I was young, it was when the street lights went on. Later, in my teenage years, which would have been 15, 16, which we call high school years, that would depend. And I told you earlier, I come home late, I'm drunk, and my mom slapped me right in the face. So that took, I could come home pretty much any time I wanted, as long as I wasn't in trouble.
And what did kids wear in your day and age?
There was no, Levi's. Levi's and moccasins were popular.
Well, when you were in school, was there a dress code?
Yes, there was. You couldn't wear Levi's in school.
What did you wear for school?
We had pants, whatever they were. Pants and a shirt, you know.
Well,
I didn't wear ties.
I saw a picture that you had ties on.
No. That was earlier. Yeah, in grade school.
In grade school, you had to wear a tie.
Tie, right. But in high school, no. But you'd wear a shirt and pants. You would not wear Levi's.
No jeans.
No jeans.
When did you learn to drive?
As soon as I could. I remember taking my dad's car. My dad had a car when I was 15. You could legally drive at 16, and I got the license as soon as I could. And by the way, I got in an accident early on. My dad went berserko. It wasn't a bad one. It wasn't.
He was pretty easy going.
Yeah, but it wasn't a bad. It was a fender bender, you know, squidgy. But it was a brand new car, Nash Rambler, a Nash Rambler. You know, the car that looked going two ways at once. They called it. But I had a fender bender, and Pops got nervous. By the way, I had a car, so I was able to pick up girls, which was in teenage years was important.
And before you met Mother, we often hear about who? Judy DeCola.
Right, yes, that was
Italian in the neighborhood.
Yes, and beautiful girl. She was a cheerleader and everything. That was pre-Dolores.
Yes, that was. Well, who taught you how to drive a car?
She passed away. She passed away.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Who taught you how to drive a car?
My dad or somebody. I started driving more than my dad. Going to church and everything, I was always driving. Even in 60s, in those early, remember, I went away at 17 and a half, so it was just about a year and a half in between there.
And at that point now, you are now graduating from high school. You're 15, now you're 16 years old. You graduated from high school. This almost seems too early for you to have dreams and goals.
I really didn't.
You were still just living life.
I know that there was a Korean War was on. I volunteered to be drafted.
You did volunteer.
Volunteer to be drafted. You've got to understand, there was this option. I knew it was coming, and they were taking guys at 18, 19 years old, and this is during Korea. And I says, I want to go on. So they called it pushing your number up. I went with Bob Rooney. Bob Rooney just...
and he was a buddy from the neighborhood?
My mom told me that I better get a job. If I don't get a job, then I'm going to be in trouble, and I'm not working.
And now you're 16 years old because you're
17. I'm right in that 17 bracket. And I better get a job. I'm out of high school, and I'm not working. And you got to understand, in that culture, you work. Yeah. My old grandma, we don't have no bums here. By the way, if you drank on a Saturday night and laid in bed after 8 o'clock in the morning, she'd kick you out. Nobody sleeps in. Nobody sleeps in. I don't care how hungover you are. 8 o'clock, you were up and out the house. Nobody slept in. That was her rules.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
Well, that would curb some fun. That's for sure. That would.
So.
And then you'd also have to go to church the next morning.
Well, right. Yeah. So, but that's how that worked. So I learned to drive relatively early and stayed with it.
And going into the when you decided that you were going to go in and push up your draft number.
Rooney and I went down there. I came home. I came home. The mother says, "Ronnie, by the way, she put out 75 cents, which was partly for fare and eating. And I took it, and I came home. She said, do you have a job? And I come back, me and Rudy, because we volunteered. I says, Joe, do I have a job? For 2 years I got a job. I'm going in the Army. They looked at, and she did not. Now, by the way, I would leave for the Army at this time. I would be home for about a month and a half before it was over, before I went in the Army. I left in September. This was...
So you had about a month and a half to kick up your heels a little bit.
Yeah.
And was your mother surprised when you came home and announced, boy, do I ever have a job?
Yeah, they said, what is it? They all, hey, Ronnie's got a job. And they come in the Army, they all looked at me, they all got quiet. You got to realize there's a war going on.
Yeah.
In Korea. And they all got quiet. So Bob and I joined together. So
And he was a buddy from the neighborhood.
That's correct. A buddy that passed away. He was a buddy for my whole life. On and off.
Years.
Yeah.
He passed just a couple of years ago.
Couple years
He
ago.
lived at least until about 80. You had a long time friendship with him, probably 70-year friendship.
Oh yeah.
And you're still friends with his sister, who lives right down the way you visit with.
That's right in Florida here.
And
right.
that's amazing for people from the neighborhood in Chicago to have such longtime friends. What a blessing.
So
Huge
at this
blessing.
stage, my life would change. I would go overseas,
Before we get to
and
that,
I would be I would be a different person coming
before
back.
we get to that, you then got ready. Okay, my number's up. I am now going to be getting on a bus in Chicago. I'm going to pack a bag. And where are you off on your way to for basic training?
I went to Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri with Bob. In fact, we got on a bus exactly what you do. We met at a certain place. They walked us down and they looked at you physically and some stuff. They marched you on a bus and you took a bus to, and actually, like I told you, my life would change right here.
Before we get to this, I do want to ask you about something that takes us further on. As a young man, one thing that we were talking about is kind of running around. Is it true that you ran the streets of Chicago without any fear in those day and age?
Absolutely.
To nowadays where they got shooting every
We used to
now
go.
and then?
Oh, we'd go down. We used to go to black bars, or black people at the time, and listen to jazz music and
you could
drink.
walk the streets of Chicago and not have any fear.
I had no fear. No, I did these things. There was no fear. I'd go down to Lake Street. We used to go on the south side to South State Street and listen to jazz in black jazz joints. And I'm 16, 17 years old. I had no fear whatsoever.
And what a different age.
Huh?
What a different age.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. What age did you get your first tattoo, by the way, before I go into
I was tattooed in this period
okay,
before.
So was it before you went in the Army? Or
Yes,
after
yes,
going in?
before.
Yeah, then let's get back to that one now. So you guys were downtown Chicago.
Drinking.
Everybody, they wanted to go into a show that you weren't able to because of the age, but you went next door and got a...
They were going to a burlesque theater. We didn't have identification. We were down on South State Street, so I was with a fella named... he grew up, I won't even say his name for reasons you'll understand, grew up to be an eminent doctor in Chicago. And we're both half plastered, and they wouldn't let us in the theater. And so the other guys got let to go. And him and I walked down the street, and they saw a tattoo, so we went in and we got tattooed.
And which tattoo did you get at that time?
At that time, I had the bird put on my arm. He had a pair of dice on his inside arm. It said "Born to Lose." As a doctor and surgeon,
Who went on to become a prominent doctor
and
Played
surgeon.
the role of the dice.
He had to have that cut off. It said "Born to Lose," and it was pair of aces on his inside arm. They were both. He was a little.
What was the significance of the bluebird?
Other than that, it was. They had a bunch of stuff to choose from. I just looked at it. I probably didn't want to do it. I just do it because they were all doing it.
And when you got home, did your
I
parents,
hid it.
what did your mom and dad say?
I never told them until later. Actually, it pussed up.
Yeah.
It got pussy along the edges. I had a patch on it for some time, and it pussed up.
And you never told your family?
Oh no, I told finally. I don't know. Before I went into service, I think I
They
told
had to
them.
have noticed you're changing. You're in the kitchen.
No, I hid it for a while, and
Now,
Actually, I
did-
went back for another one, and show you how
Now, were
stupid I
you
am.
back up at your family's cabin before you took off, the lake cabin?
No.
Before you took off for, so,
No.
so now let's move forward. Now you're on a bus heading to where?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Okay, and how long were you there for?
Basic training, whatever that was, 8 weeks, I guess. And I went to Fort Leonard Wood.
How was that experience?
I learned what the Army was all about.
And you must have been one of the youngest ones there. You
I was
had to
young,
have-
yes. So was Bob.
You and Bob both were the youngest.
Bob was a little younger than I. He was actually younger than I.
You give,
Bob
you give
was-
a young person that kind of freedom, what can you expect? The frontal lobe isn't developed, how can you expect them to make good decisions at 16, 17?
I can remember this.
Running the freedom. But before we get to that, let's talk, you finished your basic training, and then where did you go to?
I went to,
Bust back to
no,
Chicago?
they gave us
let's-
a little
let's-
bit of leave time
and
at
then
home.
what?
That's where I met your mother, by the way, as on leave. No, I'm sorry, I met her right before that. I'll get to that later.
Okay.
I came back on leave and looked up your mother, and,
Now,
Bob
had
and
you
I.
met, had you met, before we get into that, I need to try to stay on track here. You had basic training